Revenge films.
That day, my baby was just about to turn 1 year old, so I was on my way back to my parents' house to see my family. The car was a gift from my older brother when I gave birth to my first child, and it was still brand new. I was driving that car, and just as I entered my hometown, I was tailgated by some random aggressive car. It was a very narrow road, and I had my baby in the car, so I was on the verge of panicking, but I desperately tried to remain calm and deal with it. But, as if to mess with me even more, the car stuck as close to me as possible. I put the turn signal on and tried to merge to the side, but because he was so close behind, I was worried that merging would cause us to collide, and I couldn't do anything. The street was narrow, so there was no space for me to avoid it. And, because it was a winding road, I couldn't go any faster than 40 miles per hour. I saw a stop sign up ahead at the T crossroad, so I slowed down to try to stop, when I suddenly felt an extreme impact from behind. I felt my entire body launch forward as the right front corner of my car slammed into a wall and glass broke, launching the airbags inside. I immediately looked to check on my baby, and while it seemed like there were no injuries, my baby started crying hysterically. As for me, I felt a searing pain through my right hand, and the broken glass must have flown towards my head because I felt blood dripping down my face. Suddenly, the driver of the car stormed out of his car and started yelling at me.
Why the hell are you driving so slow? Because of you, we're in this stupid crash. You think this is a joke? You better pay for these damages. Because of the impact, my body hurts. So you better pay a settlement fee.
Even though he was the one who caused the accident, I knew I shouldn't have to pay anything. But more than anything, I was so worried about my baby. Please, call an ambulance. I don't know where my cell phone is because it fell somewhere and I can't move my right arm. Please! In my broken state, I begged him, but then the guy's girlfriend appeared as well.
What do I care? More importantly, what are you gonna do about my car? That's an expensive car, you know.
He didn't look like he was going to be calling an ambulance anytime soon. My head was pounding and my body was in so much pain. I felt my consciousness fading, but I desperately begged them to please help my 1-year-old child. Thankfully, witnesses of the accident came to the rescue, and the girlfriend spoke up.
Hey, this isn't looking good. Don't you think the police are going to come?
And the two of them ran back to their car to flee the scene. That was when, from the group of onlookers, a man came up to my car.
Are you okay? Can you hear me? Are you conscious?
Please, don't worry about me. My baby! Please, get my baby to the hospital! By this point, I was sobbing as I begged for this man for help.
Don't worry, we've already called an ambulance. They should be here soon.
As soon as I heard those words, I was relieved that the man went over to my baby and started checking him for any visible injuries. Shortly after the ambulance arrived, I was rescued out of my car and put on a stretcher. The man was giving instructions left and right to the paramedics. One of the paramedics came running towards me.
Looks like your baby is okay. That gentleman is apparently a pediatrician. He's going to come with you and the baby together to the hospital, so please don't worry.
Pediatrician. I realized that that's why he must have been checking my baby earlier, like he knew what he was doing, and as I finally felt a relief come over me, I let go of my consciousness. Next time I opened my eyes, I was laying in the hospital bed.
Are you awake?
The nurse spoke to me, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "My baby! What happened to my son? Is he okay?"
There's nothing to worry about. We did a thorough exam and ran a few tests and everything seems okay. The gentleman that rode in the ambulance with you is actually a pediatrician at the hospital, and he just so happened to be on a night shift today. Because he was able to get a grasp on the situation quickly, and he gave a lot of instruction before you reached the hospital, we were able to handle everything smoothly as soon as you arrived. I'm so glad, truly. I'm so glad. As I was speaking to the nurse, the pediatrician that we were talking about came into my hospital room.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. But thank you so much for saving my baby.
Don't worry, I'm so glad everything was okay. We have your son in the pediatrics department right now. We're gonna keep an eye on him today, and if everything seems alright, then you'll be able to take him home tomorrow. Where do you live?
Actually, I was in the middle of driving back to my parents' home when I was met with a reckless driver. I explained in detail everything that happened right before and right after the accident to the pediatrician and the nurse. But in the end, they got away, so I need to contact the police and file a report.
That's true. The police did come to the scene of the accident, but they decided to wait until you were in a better condition for any questioning. Also, I actually think I might know who the person was that was driving the car that crashed into you.
Really? It turns out that while he was also helping me and my baby, The doctor had also gotten the license plate and the model of the car that crashed into me. And he was shocked when he found out the name on the registration. What? The car belongs to the medical director of this hospital?
Yes, I think that was one out of the many cars that he owned, and the person driving it must have been his son, who is currently a medical student. I'll also be informing the medical director about this incident, so please rest and focus on your recovery.
Yes, thank you very much. The next day, the police arrived and I explained everything to them again. From the actual accident to the reckless driving leading up to it. Luckily, my brother had already placed a camera on the car when he was gifting it to me, so we had plenty of evidence of the reckless driving. Then, the medical director and his wife, followed by their son, the medical student, and driver of the car, came into my hospital room and got on their knees to apologize.
We are so terribly sorry that this happened.
There is nothing we can say that can apologize enough, especially with your young child involved. The father and mother kept apologizing to me over and over again. To be honest, when I heard that he was the medical director, I had a slightly bad feeling of the arrogant person that he might be. But I was completely wrong. If anything, he was extremely regretful of the situation.
We are so terribly sorry that this happened. We will, of course, be paying a settlement fee for you and your baby, and there will be no charges from this hospital either.
Their son, however...
This idiot was driving so slowly, that's why I crashed into her! This is all her fault! Why the hell should we have to pay anything? Because of her, I got whiplash, you know? And the expensive car was dented too! This is all because you got in my car without my permission again! No matter how many times I've told you not to touch my car! Your whiplash was all because of your own reckless driving. There is absolutely nothing to blame on this poor woman! If this idiot hadn't slowed down out of nowhere, none of this would have happened! That's enough! You're the idiot here! There's plenty of footage and evidence of your reckless driving! On top of that, to not only cause the accident, but then leave a woman and her baby in a car and run away! You're an embarrassment! You're not my son! You're nothing to me now! Hey, what are you saying? All I did was tease her a little bit. You're being dramatic. It's not that big a deal.
Dramatic? Not that big of a deal? Do you not realize that you could have taken both of their lives in that situation? You are absolutely unfit to become a doctor. And you are, of course, going to be expelled from your medical school.
Are you serious? But I'm about to graduate! And I already have a job secured at this hospital! And you're the one that put all of that to shame!
Police and now having a criminal record, that all went to dust. And he was also expelled from his medical school. At the same time, he was immediately kicked out of the house by his parents. His girlfriend that was there with him was at a different university, but as an accomplice in the incident, she was also expelled from her university. Between being arrested and being expelled from their respective universities, I'm sure that the two of them will have a difficult life ahead of them. But that was all their own doing. You reap what you sow. After that, my baby and I both made full recoveries, and we were discharged from the hospital. While I was in the hospital, my parents came to visit me too, but from the medical director, I received not only a brand new car, but also way more than enough of a settlement payment. He said that he just paid it all up front for me, but that he would make his son pay everything back to him in full. As for their son, he was kicked out of their house and subsequently lost his parents' connection and their financial support. And I can already see how many part-time jobs he'll have to get in order to pay back his debt. He's lived his whole life until now doing whatever he wanted with no sense of responsibility. So I can only imagine the reality he'll be faced with at work. But I couldn't care less. I hope he gets what he deserves. I never thought that I would be a direct victim of reckless driving. And when that resulted in a car crash, I truly didn't know what to do. But I was really lucky that the person who happened to come help was a pediatrician, and the culprit's parents were nearby and such good people. So as fortunate as the accident was, the results ended up being okay. I couldn't believe that the guy was so close to graduating from medical school, but I'm so glad that a person like him who doesn't know the value of life wasn't going to become a doctor.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.